blank. Yeah, story in its title, but we'll get there another day. Blank. I sit in full lotus at the edge of my bed, with my fingers hovering over my laptop's keyboard. The machine sits in a small wheeled unit, and although I'm running Word, I can't find any. The white page before me is just as blank as my mind. I'm a failure, I tell myself, sipping from my mug of coal black coffee, debating whether a smoke was warranted or not. I hadn't earned it, I considered, glancing to my tin of smokes, with guilt. Sighing, I sip up my coffee, irritated at my mental block. Sitting back onto my elbows, I glanced to my tin again. I wanted to, but discipline told me otherwise. Abruptly, the phone rang, and I rushed over to answer it, lifting the receiver hesitantly. People rarely ring. They just don't, and if they do, it'll be bad news. It always is. Yes? I'd queried. Kevin, did you get an invite? Not being asked. All in a hurry. Invite? I'd asked. Brow furrowed. Who was inviting me and where? I'd mused, as you would. To Lacey's party, he'd answered, as if it were patently obvious, and was surprised when I responded to him. Nah. And anyway, I don't have anything suitable to wear. It's fancy dress, he'd quickly added. My friend looked like Brian May, with a head of hair to match this image. I could imagine the grin on his face as he had spoken. The way you dress, it's like you're in a fancy dress every day. I'd smiled lightly at that. Then I placed the phone down and headed upstairs to my bedroom and laptop. Leif had been my best friend since our days at the Cartoon Workshop in Liverpool. I'd liked him, and I'd grown to really like him and his partner, Nikki. But things had radically changed with both one fateful evening. I'd sat in my friend's flat and sat back, confused, as the two had made their confession. It had turned out they had known about the young one, my replacement. Nikki had sipped at her coffee, watching me through her fringe and over the top of her mug, as she had spoken. The couple had glanced to one another, and the young Brian May look-alike fellow had lifted his gaze to mine as he had tentatively spoken. We didn't know whether to tell you or not, Leif had told me, as Nikki had quietly nodded. He had held her hand as she had added, we just didn't want to hurt you. As Nikki spoke, over the brim of the mug, looking down and not at me. I had left their place shortly afterwards, feeling confused. My friends, my best friends, had known of my fiancée's deceit months before me. They had seen her, Lucia, among the crowd downtown, as passers-by had passed by, and she had held hands with him, the new model, Daryl, I had learned, eventually. To say I felt disappointed would be to state an understatement, and the word betrayal had sprung to mind that evening as I'd got to the bus to go home. Well, I finally found my way to the side of my bed, adopting my previous position on the bed with my laptop sitting before me. I can't help but sigh, dwelling on the blank pages before me. I just could not deal with this pause in my mind. It's now raining heavily outside, raindrops bouncing off the window pane. Finally, I reach for my tin and pick out a smoke. I light up and I inhale deeply, holding the acrid smoke. Then finally, I sigh deeply. I wonder if dear old Mr. Clemens ever had a day like this. The end.